What if I told you that the most powerful interrogation tool in the world was not created to extract confessions from criminals, but to extract abundance from the universe itself? What if the techniques used by the FBI in silent rooms to uncover hidden truths are merely a modern echo of an ancient and profound spiritual law? The FBI did not invent this power, they simply rediscovered a fragment of it. They harnessed its ability to make a person reveal what is in their heart without them even realizing it. But its true purpose, its divine origin, is far grander. It was designed not to make men talk, but to make the very fabric of reality respond, to make the silent wisdom of the cosmos yield its secrets of prosperity, health, and purpose. You are about to learn that this is not a tool of manipulation, but a key of divine communication. The fundamental reason your affirmations may feel hollow and your prayers seem to go unanswered is because you have been taught to shout at the divine. You have been instructed to use force, to repeat words with desperate intensity, hoping that the sheer volume of your request will breach the gates of heaven. But the universe, like a wise and ancient sage, does not respond to shouts. It recoils from force. It closes itself to demands. Shouting creates resistance. It builds a wall of energetic noise between you and your desire. This is the great misunderstanding of our age. We believe that power is loud, that conviction is aggressive. The masters of influence, however, from ancient prophets to elite intelligence agents, know that true power lies not in shouting a demand, but in skillfully and subtly eliciting the desired response. Tonight, you will learn to stop pleading with your reality and start communicating with it. You will be given the framework to use this potent technique not on other people, but on the quantum field of all possibility, on the divine mind in which we all exist. The promise is not to learn a new trick of persuasion, but to fundamentally alter your relationship with the world around you. You will discover how to ask in a way that reality has no choice but to answer. You will learn how to bypass the resistance of your own subconscious mind and plant the seeds of prosperity so deeply that they are accepted as absolute commands. This is the art of elicitation, repurposed for your soul's alignment and your life's unlimited abundance. You know that hollow ache deep in your soul, the one that surfaces after you've spoken your truth and were met with a vacant stare. Imagine the sensation of pouring your heart into a proposal, a negotiation, or a heartfelt plea to a loved one, only to watch your words dissipate like smoke, leaving no trace, no impact. This is the quiet agony of the unheard, the specific frequency of invisibility. It is the silent thought that echoes in the late hours of the night, the one that whispers, "Am I invisible? Do my words carry any weight at all?" You feel you have something of immense value to offer, a wisdom born of experience, yet you find yourself standing behind an invisible wall, your voice muffled, your presence unfelt by the very world you seek to shape. Picture this scene, for you have lived a version of it a dozen times. A good man, a father perhaps, sitting in a sterile office, his hands clasped tightly to stop them from trembling. He has rehearsed his points. He has gathered his courage, and he is trying to negotiate for what he is worth, for what his family deserves. He speaks with clarity and passion, laying out his case with impeccable logic, but his words do not land. They seem to evaporate before they can reach the ears of the person across the desk. He can feel his power, his very essence being drained from him, replaced by that old, familiar feeling of being dismissed. He walks out not with a raise, but with the heavy cloak of insignificance wrapped tightly around his shoulders. Or consider the devoted woman, a pillar of faith for her family, who kneels in the sacred quiet of her home. She is not asking for frivolous things. She is praying for a solution, for a way to meet the bills, for healing, for a breakthrough that seems so close and yet impossibly far. Her prayers are not empty repetitions. They are fervent, desperate conversations, filled with unwavering belief. Yet the only response she receives is a profound and deafening silence. It is not a peaceful silence, not the silence of contemplation, but the echoing emptiness of a vacant cathedral. The heavens themselves seem to be a soundproof room, and her pleas, no matter how sincere, cannot seem to penetrate its walls. This is the core of your frustration, is it not? You are screaming inside a soundproof box. You exert immense energy. You work harder, you pray longer, you affirm with every ounce of your being. You are doing everything you have been told to do, yet the results do not reflect the effort. It is the spiritual equivalent of pushing against a mountain that does not move, of shouting a command that creates no echo. This feeling of impotence, of your will being utterly absorbed by an indifferent universe, is one of the deepest pains a soul can experience. It leads you to question not just your methods, but your very worthiness to receive a response from life. How many times have you felt that burning frustration when you see others seemingly less deserving or less knowledgeable speak and have the world bend to their will? You see their casual requests granted while your desperate pleas go ignored. What is the secret frequency they are tuned into that you cannot seem to find? It's that subtle, maddening experience of being perpetually out of sync, of knowing the words to the song, but being unable to produce the melody that makes reality dance. This isn't just about a lack of success, it's about a perceived lack of fundamental power over your own journey. Is it any wonder that a quiet resignation begins to set in? The pain of being ignored eventually gives way to the soul-crushing belief that perhaps you are not meant to be heard. You start to lower your voice, to shrink your ambitions, to make peace with a life that is a pale shadow of the one you envisioned. You begin to accept the illusion of your own powerlessness. This is the true tragedy, not the unanswered prayer, but the moment you stop believing your voice is worthy of an answer. The world has trained you, through silent dismissal, to silence yourself. You have felt the weight of this for years, this sense of being a ghost at the feast of life. You see the abundance, the joy, the influence others command, and you feel separated from it by an invisible barrier. You speak, but your words are wind. You desire, but your longings bear no fruit. You command, but your decrees are met with cosmic indifference. It is the pain of having a king's ambition trapped in a peasant's reality, of knowing your divine birthright of authority while living a life of quiet subservience to circumstances. But what if this entire experience, this profound and prolonged pain of being unheard, is not a judgment on your worth, but simply the result of using the wrong tool? What if you have been trying to shatter a door with a battering ram when it was designed to swing open with a whispered password? The frustration you feel is not a sign of your weakness, but a signal from the universe that you are using a strategy of force, where a strategy of sublime, intelligent influence is required. Your voice has weight. You simply haven't learned the acoustics of the cosmos. For generations you have been fed a noble lie, a half-truth that has become the silent architect of your struggle. The common enemy, the true source of your stagnation, is not your lack of effort or your absence of faith. It is the very philosophy you have been taught to worship, the gospel of brute force. In the mundane world, it is the mantra of hustle culture, the command to be aggressive, to push harder, to impose your will upon the world through sheer, relentless effort. This philosophy views the universe as an inert object that must be bent and broken to your desires. It creates an adversarial relationship with life itself, turning every negotiation, every goal, every prayer into a battle. This path of friction is honorable, yes, but it is deeply inefficient and spiritually exhausting, for it completely ignores the subtle, powerful currents of alignment that govern reality. This same flawed approach has seeped into our understanding of spiritual law, creating a spiritual version of brute force. You have been told to repeat affirmations until your throat is raw, to visualize with such intensity that it gives you a headache, to fake it till you make it, in a desperate attempt to trick the universe into compliance. But this is not faith, it is force. It is the act of shouting at your subconscious mind, trying to bully it into accepting a new reality. The subconscious, however, is not a disobedient child to be disciplined. It is a wise and powerful servant that responds not to volume, but to the frequency of unshakable conviction. Trying to force it to accept a belief you don't truly hold only creates an internal schism, a state of resistance that cancels out your every effort and broadcasts a signal of desperate lack. Herein lies the critical distinction that will change everything for you. The reason for your struggle is not that you are aiming for the wrong target, but that you are using the wrong weapon. You have been using a battering ram of effort where a key of subtle elicitation is required. The path of force is loud, exhausting, and creates immense resistance. The path of alignment, however, is silent, effortless, and magnetic. It does not seek to conquer reality. It seeks to enter into a conversation with it. The source of your financial and spiritual stagnation is this fundamental misunderstanding. You have been applying force where exquisite and intelligent finesse is the only thing that works. The shift from struggle to flow begins the moment you lay down the hammer and learn to skillfully pick the lock. This secret of influence, this key to unlocking the human heart and the universal mind, was never truly lost. It was simply hidden in plain sight, preserved not in a classified government manual, but in one of the most sacred and ancient texts on human wisdom ever compiled. The FBI calls it elicitation, but millennia ago, the wisest king who ever lived, Solomon, called it persuasive wisdom. He encoded this divine technology into a single profound verse in the book of Proverbios, a verse that has been read by millions, but understood by few. In Proverbios 25, the key is laid bare. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight knows how to draw them out. Ponder those final words, to draw them out. This is the sacred blueprint. It is not to force, not to demand, not to shout, but to skillfully and wisely draw out the treasures that lie in the deep. Centuries later, Another man of profound understanding, Napoleon Hill, embarked upon a 20-year quest to understand the source of all great fortunes. In his meticulous study of the most powerful men of his age, he too rediscovered this principle, though he gave it a different name, autosuggestion. But Hill's definition has been tragically misunderstood. It was never about the brute force repetition of empty words. True autosuggestion, as Hill intended it, is the art of subtly planting an idea, a desire, into the fertile soil of the subconscious mind. It is a process of such finesse that the mind does not resist it. Rather, it accepts the idea as its own purpose. It is the spiritual equivalent of a master agent making his subject believe the revealed secret was their own idea all along. It is the art of making your own deeper mind elicit the physical reality you desire. Do you now see the perfect, unbroken golden thread that connects these seemingly disparate worlds? The sterile interrogation room of an FBI agent, the gilded court of King Solomon, and the silent study of Napoleon Hill all become theaters for the application of a single eternal law. The agent's elicitation, the king's wisdom of drawing out, and the magnate's principle of autosuggestion are not three separate concepts. They are three faces of the same immutable truth, three dialects of a single divine language of influence. One is used to protect a nation, another to govern a kingdom, and another to build an empire. You are now being given the master key that unlocks all three, allowing you to use this sacred language to govern the kingdom of your own mind and build an empire of personal prosperity. Let us now decode the first pillar of this sacred technology, the indirect command. An amateur interrogator, operating from a place of force, will ask a direct confrontational question like, "Are you wealthy?" This immediately triggers suspicion and resistance, causing the subject to become guarded and defensive. The master of elicitation, however, never asks the question directly. Instead, they create a conversation that skillfully guides the subject to reveal their financial status without ever being asked. They might say, "The tax burdens on high-value real estate have become quite complex lately, haven't they?" This indirect statement, framed as an observation, invites the subject to respond from a place of authority, to share their experience, and in doing so, confess the very information they would otherwise protect. This is the essence of the indirect command. It bypasses the dragon of resistance that guards the treasure of the subconscious mind. Translated into the language of spiritual law, this principle exposes the fatal flaw in conventional affirmations. When you stand before the mirror and forcefully declare, "I am prosperous," especially when your bank account screams otherwise, you are engaging in a direct confrontation with your own deeply held beliefs. Your subconscious mind, the faithful guardian of your established reality, immediately rises to the defense. It says, "No, you are not. Look at these bills. Remember these struggles." This internal conflict creates a state of energetic civil war, a stalemate where your willpower is cancelled out by your core programming. You are using the brute force tactic of a novice interrogator on the most sophisticated intelligence agent in the universe, your own deeper mind. It is a battle you can never win through direct assault. The secret, therefore, is to stop issuing direct orders and start planting profound seeds through the use of guiding questions. Instead of the command, "I am prosperous," you must learn to ask your subconscious mind a question that masterfully elicits the desired state. Pose this question to the deep waters of your soul. What would my life look like, feel like, and be like if I already possessed all the financial security I could ever need or desire? This is not an affirmation. It is a divine inquiry. It does not challenge the current reality. It skillfully commands the creative faculties of your mind to begin constructing a new reality, a detailed blueprint for the universe to follow. It bypasses resistance and activates imagination. Consider your mind for a moment. The conscious mind, the part of you that worries and analyzes, is the noisy, ineffective interrogator in the front room. It's loud, full of demands, and ultimately powerless. But the subconscious mind is the master agent in the field. It is silent, it operates in the shadows of your awareness, and it is the part of you that actually gets things done. It speaks the language of feeling, symbol, and assumption. The indirect command, the guiding question, is the coded message you send from the front room to your agent in the field. It gives your subconscious a mission without triggering the alarms of your limiting beliefs. It is the ultimate act of delegation to a power far greater than your own willpower. So how do you apply this today, right now? Choose one area of your life where you feel stuck, where your direct affirmations have failed. Let us use the example of prosperity. For the next 7 days, Cease all your forceful I am statements. Instead, find a quiet moment each morning and each evening. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask your inner self this one question. How would I be thinking, feeling, and acting today if all my financial needs were already permanently and completely met? Do not try to answer it with your conscious mind. Your only job is to ask the question with sincere curiosity and then let it go, trusting that you have just given a new, irresistible directive to the creative power within you. This practice is the beginning of a profound shift. You are moving from a mindset of lack and forceful wanting to a mindset of creative inquiry and expectant receiving. The question itself is a statement of faith. It presupposes that such a reality is possible and that your mind has the capacity to explore it. You are no longer fighting with your present circumstances. Instead, you are inviting your subconscious to a playground of infinite possibility. You are giving it permission to dream again, not as an escape, but as an act of deliberate creative causation. This is how you begin to draw the purposes of your heart out from the deep waters within. Remember the metaphor. Your subconscious mind is fertile, sacred ground. Direct, forceful affirmations that contradict your current state are like trying to plant a tree by hammering it into frozen earth. It creates damage and resistance. The indirect command, the guiding question, is like gently tilling the soil, making it soft and receptive. It is the act of creating the perfect conditions for a seed to be planted. The question itself is the seed. Once planted in the softened soil of a receptive mind, it will begin to germinate in the darkness, drawing to itself all that it needs to break through into your physical reality. Your job is not to force its growth, but to plant the seed correctly. This technique is not a passive wish. It is an active command disguised as a gentle inquiry. It is the highest form of personal influence. You are learning to lead your own mind rather than trying to conquer it. This changes your internal frequency from one of desperation to one of sovereign authority. You stop being a beggar pleading with the universe and become a collaborator, a wise king who knows how to skillfully query his most powerful advisor, his own divine mind. The quality of your life will be determined by the quality of the questions you dare to ask your inner self. This is the first and most crucial key to eliciting your abundance. The power of this technique extends far beyond prosperity. Are you seeking health? Instead of "I am healthy," ask, what would I do with my day? How would I move my body? What choices would I make if I were already overflowing with perfect vitality? Are you seeking love? Instead of "I am in a loving relationship," ask, who would I have to become to effortlessly attract and sustain the magnificent partnership my heart desires? Each question is a key, custom cut to unlock a specific door within the infinite mansion of your own potential. You are not creating something from nothing. You are simply unlocking what is already there, waiting in the deep. Master this first principle, the indirect command, and you will have already surpassed 99% of those who struggle with the laws of manifestation. You will have learned that the universe does not respond to the loudest voice, but to the most intelligent and well-posed inquiry. You will have discovered that true power is never forceful. It is always subtle, always precise, always based on a deep understanding of the nature of the mind. You have now learned how to plant the seed. Next, we must learn how to create the sacred space in which it can grow. This brings us to the second pillar of this divine science. We now arrive at the second pillar, a principle that may be the most challenging for the modern mind to accept: the receptive vacuum. In the world of elicitation, the agent who talks the most is the one who fails. The true master of intelligence gathering understands that the most powerful tool is not the spoken word, but the strategic and intentional use of silence. After posing a guiding statement, the agent becomes a receptive void. They create a palpable silence, a conversational vacuum that the other person feels an overwhelming, subconscious urge to fill. It is in this void that the secrets are willingly given, that the truth is confessed, not because it was forced, but because the space was created for it to emerge. This same law governs the cosmos. After you have sent your indirect command, your guiding question, into the deep waters of your subconscious, you must practice the art of the spiritual vacuum. This is where most seekers fail catastrophically. They ask the question, and then immediately fill the silence with the noise of doubt, anxiety, and impatience. They check constantly for results. They wonder if it's working. They tell their friends about their new technique. This is the equivalent of an agent asking a question and then immediately answering it themselves. It completely short-circuits the entire process. The universe cannot deliver its secrets to you if you never stop talking. The practice of "be still and know," as instructed in the Psalms, is not a gentle suggestion. It is a direct, operational command. To manifest your desire, You must create a quantum vacuum in your own mind. After you have asked your guiding question, how would it feel to be completely debt-free? Your work is to then create a silent, sacred space within your consciousness for the answer to arrive. This silence is not empty. It is a state of active, expectant listening. You are turning down the volume of the fearful, analytical conscious mind and turning up the sensitivity of your intuitive faculties. You are listening for the whispers of the universe, the sudden insights, the creative ideas, the unexpected phone calls, the opportunities that seem to come out of nowhere. These are the ways the universe fills the vacuum you have created with your faith. Think of it this way. Your prayer, your indirect command, is an arrow shot towards a divine target. The moment you release the arrow, your job is done. If you run after the arrow, shouting at it to fly straighter or faster, you only disturb the air and disrupt its flight path. The act of creating a receptive vacuum is the act of holding your position, of trusting the impeccable aerodynamics of universal law. You must develop an unshakable conviction that the arrow has been loosed and that it will, in its own perfect time and in its own perfect way, strike the center of the target. Your anxiety is the wind that blows your manifestations off course. Your silence is the calm air that guarantees a perfect shot. How is this state of receptive silence achieved? It is a practice, a discipline of the mind. It is cultivated through moments of deliberate quiet, through meditation, through walks in nature without distraction. It is the conscious decision, when the voice of doubt arises, to not engage with it. You simply notice it, and then gently return your focus to the feeling of the question already being answered. You are training yourself to become a vessel, a chalice waiting to be filled. You are not hunting for the answer. You are making yourself the magnetic landing strip upon which the answer can gracefully arrive. This is the essence of feminine energy in the process of creation. It is not about doing, but about becoming receptive to what is being done through you. This vacuo receptivo is the fertile darkness in which the seed you planted with your indirect command begins to sprout. A seed needs the dark, silent earth to gather its strength before it can push through to the light. If you keep digging it up to see if it's growing, you kill it. Your impatience and need for constant reassurance is the spiritual equivalent of digging up the seed. The receptive vacuum is your commitment to providing the undisturbed darkness. It is your faith made manifest as mental discipline. It is the profound understanding that your desire is already gestating in the womb of the quantum field, and your only job is to provide a peaceful and trusting environment for its full development. This is the meaning of true faith. Faith is not shouting louder, it is trusting longer in the silence. It is the ability to maintain your inner poise and knowingness while the external world shows no evidence of your coming manifestation. It is a quiet, profound, unshakable thank you for a reality that is not yet visible to the eye. When you operate from this state, you are no longer a seeker, you are a receiver. The frequency you broadcast to the universe shifts from, "Please give me this," to "I am ready to receive." This subtle shift in your energetic posture makes all the difference. The universe does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. Therefore, your next step is to integrate this practice. So after you ask your guiding question in the morning, your task throughout the day is to become a master listener. When you are driving, turn off the radio and listen. When you are walking, leave the podcast behind and listen. Listen not with your ears, but with your entire being. Pay attention to the quiet nudges, the intuitive hits, the sudden urge to call an old friend or visit a certain place. This is the universe speaking to you, filling the vacuum you have created. It speaks in whispers, not in shouts, and it can only be heard when you have cultivated the silence within. The mastery of this principle alone can transform your life from a frantic struggle into a graceful unfolding. It is the art of getting out of your own way. You have already placed your order with the cosmic kitchen by asking your indirect command. Creating the receptive vacuum is how you sit back and allow the divine chef to prepare and deliver your meal. If you keep running into the kitchen to check on the progress, you only get in the way and delay the entire process. Trust the process. Trust the silence. The silence is not an absence of activity. It is the presence of divine creation. Your soul craves this silence. Your mind, addicted to the constant stimulation of the modern world, may resist it at first. It will feel uncomfortable, alien. But as you persist, you will find that in this receptive vacuum lies all your power, all your peace, and all your connection to the divine intelligence that orchestrates all things. This silence is the space where miracles are born. You have planted the seed with your question, and you have watered it with your silence. Now we must learn the final principle, the one that ensures it grows into a mighty oak of physical reality. We have arrived at the final and most powerful principle, the one that solidifies your creation and draws it from the unseen world into your tangible reality, the affirmation of the presupposed reality. In the highest echelons of intelligence and influence, an agent does not ask for information they wish to confirm. They operate as if it is already a known fact. They will not ask, "Did you attend the meeting in Geneva?" Instead, they will remark casually, "The coffee in Geneva was terrible last month, wasn't it?" This statement presupposes the subject's presence at the meeting. It frames the conversation from a reality where the desired information is already an established fact. This forces the subject to either confirm or deny the presupposition, revealing the truth in the process. This is the ultimate secret of faith, as taught by Napoleon Hill and the ancient masters. Faith is not hoping for something to be true. It is the unwavering assumption that it is already true in the unseen realm. It is the art of aligning your thoughts, your feelings, and your conversations with the presupposition that your desire has already been fulfilled. This is not about faking it. It is about having such profound conviction in the creative process that you begin to live from the end result. You cease to be the person who wants to be prosperous, and you begin to be the person who is simply dealing with the realities of being prosperous. So how does this translate into a daily practice? It means you must become a vigilant guardian of your internal and external dialogue. When you think about your finances, you no longer think from a place of "how will I get the money?" but from a place of "how will I best manage the abundance that is flowing to me?" When a friend asks how you are, you resist the urge to complain about your struggles. This does not mean you lie, it means you shift your focus. You speak of the opportunities you are exploring, the gratitude you feel for what you have, and the certainty you hold for your future. You are acting as if you already know part of the secret. This principle is the embodiment of Hill's concept of faith being the evidence of things not seen. Your sustained feeling, your disciplined thoughts, your confident speech, these become the evidence. You are presenting this evidence to your subconscious mind and to the quantum field. You are essentially telling the universe, "The matter is settled. My prosperity is a done deal. I am now simply living into this established reality." This is the most powerful frequency you can possibly broadcast. It is a signal of pure, unadulterated conviction. It leaves no room for doubt or ambiguity. It is a decree, not a request. Consider the powerful difference between these two internal statements. Statement 1, "I really hope I get that promotion." This statement is filled with the energy of lack, doubt, and powerlessness. Statement 2, "I am deciding how I will redecorate my new office once the promotion is finalized." The second statement presupposes the reality of the promotion. It takes it as a given and moves on to the next logical step. It is this quality of thought, this calm assumption of success, that instructs the subconscious mind and the universe to bring that reality to pass. You are literally thinking from the goal, not of the goal. This is the true meaning of acting as if. It is not a performance for others, but an alignment for yourself. You begin to make choices, even small ones, from the perspective of the person you are becoming. Would a truly prosperous and abundant person spend their evening worrying about bills, or would they spend it reading a book to expand their mind, secure in the knowledge that all is well? Would they engage in conversations about scarcity and lack, or would they discuss ideas, growth, and future projects? You must begin to inhabit the mental and emotional state of your fulfilled desire before it has fully materialized in the physical. This does not mean being irresponsible or delusional. You still pay your current bills, but you do so with a different energy. You pay them with gratitude, seeing each payment not as a loss, but as a confident circulation of the abundant energy that flows to you and through you. You are acting from the presupposed reality that there is always more than enough. This internal shift in perspective is the very thing that changes the external flow. The universe is a mirror, and it can only reflect the truth of who you are being. Therefore, your final task is to audit your own presuppositions. Throughout your day, catch yourself. What reality are your thoughts presupposing? Are they assuming continued struggle, or are they assuming inevitable success? When you find a thought rooted in the old reality of lack, do not fight it. Simply acknowledge it and gently pivot to a thought that presupposes your new reality. For instance, if the thought "I can't afford this" arises, pivot to "I am choosing to allocate my resources differently for now as I manage my growing abundance." It is a subtle but profound shift from the identity of lack to the identity of command. You are closing the loop. You planted the seed with the indirect command. You created the sacred, fertile darkness with the receptive vacuum. And now you are shining the light of unwavering faith upon it with the affirmation of the presupposed reality. You are speaking and acting as if you can already see the sprout breaking through the soil. You are not asking, You are not hoping, you are not even affirming in the traditional sense. You are simply calmly and powerfully commenting on a reality that, in your mind, is already an established, unshakable fact. This threefold path is the secret art and science of divine elicitation. It is how you move from shouting at the universe to entering into a graceful, intelligent, and profoundly effective conversation with it. It is how you stop forcing reality and begin to elicit your abundance. You have now been given the keys to the kingdom. You understand the sequence. Ask the right question, create the silent space for the answer, and live in the confident assumption of its arrival. This is the path from frustration to fulfillment, from being unheard to becoming a person whose quietest decree shapes worlds. Imagine yourself, just weeks from now, moving through your world with a completely different presence. See yourself entering a room and notice the subtle shift in energy. There is a newfound stillness about you, a quiet confidence that needs no announcement. Your words, when you choose to speak them, are measured, calm, and imbued with a strange new weight. They land with precision and influence, not because they are loud, but because they are aligned with a deep inner knowing. Interactions that once felt like battles of will now feel like graceful dances of co-creation. You are no longer trying to convince anyone of anything. Instead, you find people leaning in, wanting to hear what you have to say, offering you the very opportunities you once chased with desperation. This is not a dream. It is the inevitable consequence of shifting from force to finesse, from demanding to decreeing. Picture your moments of quiet reflection. Your prayers, they are no longer fervent, anxious pleas sent into a silent void. They have transformed into calm, confident, and intimate conversations with the Creator, with the universe itself. There is no sense of separation, no feeling of being unheard. It is a dialogue of profound trust, like that between a wise king and his most trusted counsel. You present your desire as a guiding question, and then you simply listen, knowing with every fiber of your being that the answer is not only on its way, but has already been dispatched. The agonizing silence has been replaced by a pregnant stillness, a receptive vacuum filled with the energy of imminent manifestation. The peace that comes from this new relationship with the divine is the greatest treasure you will ever possess. You will find yourself navigating your financial life not with fear, but with a serene sense of command. The constant, nagging anxiety that once formed the background noise of your existence will have faded into nothingness. You will look at your bank account, at your business, at your investments, not as a reflection of your limits, but as a dynamic field of energy that you are skillfully directing. You will no longer fight against the current of reality, trying to swim upstream against the tide of circumstance. Instead, you will have learned to read the subtle currents, to place your intent skillfully into the flow, and to allow the powerful, intelligent stream of universal abundance to carry you effortlessly toward your destination. You have become the master navigator of your own prosperous journey. This is the future that awaits when you lay down the crude tools of effort and pick up the precision instruments of elicitation. You cease to be a warrior fighting against a hostile world, and you become a sage who knows the world is a mirror, perfectly reflecting your internal state of being. You will understand on a cellular level that your power lies not in your muscles, but in your mind. Not in the volume of your voice, but in the clarity of your frequency. The feeling of invisibility will be a distant memory, a strange story you tell yourself about a person you used to be. In its place will be a profound sense of presence, a quiet authority that emanates from the core of your aligned soul. You will finally feel at home in the world, knowing you are a powerful and indispensable part of its unfolding creation. So now, the choice is yours. You can continue to shout into the soundproof room, to exhaust yourself pushing against a door that was designed to be opened with a key. You can remain a prisoner of the old paradigm of brute force, hoping that one day your effort alone will be enough to break through. Or you can make a different choice, right here, right now. You can choose the path of wisdom, the path of alignment, the path of divine influence. You can decide today that you are done with the struggle and that you are ready to learn the elegant language of the universe, the language of elicitation. The pain of being unheard has served its purpose. It has brought you to this sacred moment of decision. Therefore, this is your call to transformation. This is not a request to like or subscribe. It is a challenge to your very soul. Today, right now, stop shouting your desires. Choose one single area of your life that is causing you the most frustration. Just one. Tonight, before you sleep, practice the first step. Do not affirm. Do not beg. Simply ask the indirect command. Pose the guiding question to the deep waters of your mind. Then, for the next 24 hours, practice the second step. Create the receptive vacuum. Every time the urge to worry, doubt, or force the issue arises, simply release it and return to a state of quiet, expectant listening. Your only task is to observe, listen, witness, watch as reality, like a master spy under the influence of a truth serum, begins to confess its secrets of abundance to you. Notice the subtle shifts, the strange coincidences, the intuitive nudges, the unexpected ideas. Your reality is not ignoring you. It is speaking to you constantly. You have just been too busy shouting to hear its response. This is your first step into a larger world, a world where you're not a victim of circumstance, but a skillful eliciter of miracles. The power has been in you all along. You now have the key to unlock it. Let this be the moment your new life begins. Let this be the day you reclaim your divine inheritance of power, peace, and plenty. The journey from force to finesse is a single decision away. Make that decision now. Seal it in your heart. Commit to this new way of being, and know that a universe of wisdom and abundance is waiting to be drawn out from the depths of your own magnificent soul. Take a deep breath and let this new truth settle into every cell of your being as you silently declare your new allegiance, your new mantra of power. I do not force reality. I elicit my abundance.